My name is Lily, and I will be discussing the best ways to stay connected with friends and family. When it comes to relationships over long distances, both familial and romantic, it's important to stay connected to keep these bonds fresh. There are many ways to stay connected, but one of the most important things to remember is to make an effort. Showing that you care goes a long way when it comes to maintaining relationships. In regular, in-person relationships, as well as virtual or long-distance relationships. A lot of people that find themselves in a long-distance relationship turn to forms of online communication to help. In many long-distance relationships, however, just video calling isn't enough. Many couples miss some of the intimacy that hanging out in real life brings them. So, to counteract those feelings of loneliness, many couples use multiple forms of online communication rather than, let's say, only Zooming once or twice every week. They try to use alternate forms of communication too, like mailing letters and sending small gifts in the mail. For example, texting each other during lunches and maybe sending funny videos to each other later on. Even silly little things like that can spark a talking point for later on. I don't personally believe there is a correct way to stay connected over distances. Online video games are just as important as video calling or texting. Many people found that a healthy mix of multiple types of communication really helped them stay connected and to diversify what they did each time they saw each other. Because there is a limit on what people can do in long-distance relationships, having multiple forms of communication is really beneficial. Maybe one day you're playing games together and the next you're cooking together while live streaming to each other. Any and all forms of communication are really helpful in these types of relationships. Something else that some couples found helpful is to keep your partner as knowledgeable about your life as possible. If you have a really funny story to tell them, write it down and save it for later. Make a note of specific events that happened in your life day to day to share with them so that they can feel as though they are right there with you experiencing the same things that you are. Maybe you were in a coffee shop and noticed a really weird interaction between some of the patrons. Write it down and share it with your partner later on. That way they can experience the same thing that you did. And maybe try to plan some topics ahead of time so you can really dive in once you see each other again. When it comes to familial relationships, a lot of these tactics can be used as well. Don't only talk about yourself when you guys see each other. Try to include them as well. When there is an important event, try to stay as connected with them throughout the process. Make them involved with it. Zoom during baby showers, birthdays. Write down stories that you may have remembered, discuss current events, things like that. Just try to keep the conversation going with topics that both parties care about. Another thing to make sure of is to talk about different things to keep things interesting. Don't just talk about school or work or what you specifically did that day. Discuss current topics and things that interest you. Make sure that the conversation doesn't reach an awkward pause too often. There may only be a certain amount of time to chat before one person may have to leave. Of course, it's okay to have lulls in conversation, but try to keep things going for as long as possible, to really keep that relationship strong. If there really is a limited amount of time to talk to one another, let's say because of time zone differences, plan ahead of time for some things that you might want to talk about together. Even when there may not be a chance for you to talk about really long, interesting conversations, maybe you just want to spend time together, stream a movie together, watch video games together. Anything like that is important to make it really connected. It's important to make sure that your partner is aware that you are making an effort, which can be said for all types of relationships. In most long-distance relationships, people have stated that it was really beneficial when they tried to be an understanding friend or partner or family member, making sure that they didn't hog the conversation and instead wanted to hear more about the other person's day really helped build a solid form of connection. Really all that matters is that you make a solid effort to keep the relationship going, plan ahead, and keep each other updated on what's going on in your life.